Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Losses Above Replacement podcast, the greatest baseball podcast to grace your ears. I'm today's host, Matthias Altman Kurosaki, and with me, as always, we have my amazing co-hosts, Alex Clark and Ryan Splashpots. Gentlemen, first things first, how are we doing on this fine Monday evening?
Oh, buddy, it has been a very interesting time over here on the Pacific Northwest, and every part of it has been bad for the last weekend, sports wise, for me. First, UW and Oregon played and had the college football world all in ups, and I was just rooting for the nuke to come by and drop one on the field. And then the Seahawks lost after the drive they should have won, but it just angers me to no end. And then Kraken are just playing how they're playing. So, hopefully, doing a podcast will brighten the spirits, right, guys?
It
Alex, I agree
should.
with you. I only slightly want to off myself. I missed almost all of the Ravens game yesterday, but Justin Tucker made 6 field goals. So the memes are beginning again. Although Lamar Jackson is God himself, which is great to see, at least until he gets injured in week 12, which then I'll probably off myself for real. I had money on Oregon. That was quite depressing. So to get back at Oregon, to get back at the football gods. I had roasted duck breast today for dinner, which was very good, by the way.
Man, I could
So
use some of
screw
that.
Oregon and screw the Philadelphia Phillies.
I will say, just to give myself a little bit of a boost after hearing that, I heard there was a conversation that an angry fan, two angry fans yelling at each other, and one of the UW fans proving my point that maybe they're not as smart as they look by saying, "Your mascot's a flightless bird," about a duck.
I mean, that's one way to put it, I guess.
The Oregon
Yeah,
Duck is iconic, bro. That
it
he
is
is
iconic.
S
Yeah,
tier. We should like rank mascots at some point. We could
I
do
mean,
obviously
The
baseball
Oregon Duck is
mascots,
a pretty iconic mascot, I'll
but
tell you
yeah,
that
yeah.
much.
like
Yeah.
also the Hilltopper,
Oh my
Big
god, the
Red.
Stanford. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Well, no, Big Red is, but the Western Kentucky Hilltopper
no,
mascot.
yeah. I
Hilltoppers, yeah.
know. That one still haunts my nightmares.
Good.
It's funny enough. Like, have you ever played like the NCAA football games and you looked at that mascot? I'm pretty sure that was the basis for the sleep paralysis demons that we keep hearing about. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I
No
wish I miss
disrespect to Western
running the
Kentucky, by
option
the
with
way.
trees.
I remember that. Oh my god, those games were great. Those games were amazing.
You know, my school's mascot is in the mascot Hall of Fame now, so shout out to the Otto the Orange.
Oh
I will
yeah.
say that other than Syracuse getting absolutely obliterated by Florida State, I had a pretty good weekend. I spent it with some of my college teammates in Austin. It was my first time going to that city. It's a pretty happening place. We went to Austin City Limits, ate a lot of good barbecue. Uh, just in general, it was a good time. It was nice to be out of New York for a little bit. And it turns out it's a pretty fun place. I'll tell you that much. So other than that, there has been plenty of baseball going on. The playoffs obviously are in full swing. We're at the league championship series now, but we just wrapped up this past week with the division series. So there's a lot to break down. I say we go ahead and start out in the American League. And let's start out talking about this Orioles Rangers series because I think this is one where the Orioles won 11 more games than the Rangers. They came in to the series, I thought, as the favorites, but the Rangers just straight up bulldozed them in 3 games, sweeping them. It felt like they barely faced any resistance, really. They only trailed for 1 inning, one half of an inning, I should say, in game 2. They trailed for the bottom of the first inning. So, guys, give me your rundown on the Rangers Orioles series. What surprised you? What stood out? What do you guys think?
So honestly, the first thing that pops out to me with this is what we were talking about last week, that the Rangers are one of the best teams in baseball talent wise when they are hot. And with hot they were during this series, and actually hot they are now during the league championship series as well. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you have to have some level of momentum with you in order to go into Baltimore and score 14 runs over 2 games. I mean, come on. I know that Baltimore, like, look, they're a really good team, but they also were lacking a couple of their pitching players, a couple of their main pitchers for this series. Not their best ones, but definitely a couple of them. And am I gonna say that as an excuse? No, not at all. I think that at your home area during the playoffs in that huge of a series, you have to show up. And Baltimore, I mean, to give them credit, the first two games they really fought. They really fought back against the Rangers. Again, the first one was a close affair, 3-2. So honestly, a good solid baseball game. But then the second game was a full-on shootout. But one thing we've learned is that when Texas is hot, you don't win shootouts against the Rangers. The Rangers are just that good. They won 11-8. And then by the last game, Texas also had the home field advantage. They were on fire. I'll give you one guess how that game went. 7-1 Texas. So right now, we are seeing a team that has still yet to lose in the playoffs. Like, let me say that one more time here. They swept, and are right now currently 2-0 against the Astros. Like, talk about getting hot when it matters, right, guys?
I wonder which one of us intelligent fellows picked the Rangers to make the ALCS.
I don't
We'll talk about intelligent fellows when we get to the National League.
Yeah,
I told you that was a coin flip series. But anyways,
I get what you're saying, but also I want to throw it out there that the Rangers had previously. I feel like their postseason track record sort of mimics what they did this season because coming into this year they had lost. They had lost 6 straight postseason games, and now they've won 7 straight to start this postseason. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, that makes sense,
seriously,
though.
yeah.
I mean, especially on top of it, like, I mean, it's hard to really take into account like previous years for Texas just because this team is so different, is managed so differently, is built so differently. Like, we go back to some of those other teams, and they were built around 1, maybe 2 people. This is now a team that, honestly, every player from up and down the roster is contributed to a large degree. Like, everyone likes to talk about Corey Seager. Obviously, yeah, he's doing great, but Adolis Garcia is doing great. Jonah Heim is doing great. Like, that entire lineup is stacked with studs. And the question always was, is their pitching going to show up? Is their pitching going to be great? And guess what? They have been. Or at least enough so then their offense can at least take over what they need.
Yeah, and that the pitching has showed up. Jordan Montgomery has been unbelievable so far. Eovaldi has been great. The bullpen has just the right amount of anus clenching that you don't lose everything, but you're hanging on for dear life.
You're on the edge of your seat.
Games. Yeah, you're definitely on the edge of your seat. But the offense is cooking, and this is a 1 through 9. This is exactly what you want. It's everyone passing the baton. Semien to Seager. Then I don't know why you have Robbie Grossman batting in your 3-hole half the time, but Robbie Grossman, Mitch Garver up at the top of the lineup. Jonah Heim is there. Nathaniel Lowe is there. Josh Young, Evan Carter. Full count Carter is like reaching base half the time. He's there was a graphic on the Fox broadcast tonight that he reached base in 46 of his first 102 plate appearances, including the playoffs. That's like Juan Soto, better than Juan Soto, essentially. That's Barry Bonds levels of getting on base. So major props there. And this team can field too. We don't talk about it because outside of Lowe and Semien are good defensive players. Adolis Garcia is a big arm, but they make the plays. There are very few miscues. We talked about it last week that the Rays had all these miscues. The Orioles had a base running miscue in game 1. Gunnar Henderson gets thrown out trying to steal second. And the Rangers have just played really tight-knit baseball. They did make an error today, but they've played tight-knit baseball. They make the plays, and they hit when you make mistakes, and they hit for power, and it's been great to watch. And they're up 2-0, heading back home to play their second home game of the playoffs, which is crazy, but they have all the momentum right now. But I will say you can't underestimate the likes of Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve in October.
Completely understandable. One thing I do want to make a quick note on, though, is I really like that you brought up Mitch Garver. Garver is a player that has been so streaky in a number of ways, but when he's on. He's kind of the epitome of this Rangers team at that point. Like, I want to bring up his baseball reference page here for a second. Here, 2021 was really the year that he kind of really bounced on the sheet. 2019 as well was a good one for that as well. But he went 2019, great. 2020, bad. 2021, great. 2022, bad. 2023, amazing. Like, he has right now the second highest batting average of his entire career next to 2019, but it's only by 0.003 points. So it's like, what do you want at that point? He has been playing on an absolutely unreal clip here for this team, and he was supposed to be a role player. At the beginning of the year, that was his job, was to be just kind of a guy that fills in whenever you need him to. And yet he has been forcing his way onto this team with hot play. So right now, he kind of is what the Rangers are all about right now. Getting hot, staying hot, and making a difference.
I mean, the thing with Garver is that he's not necessarily a great defensive catcher. He never has been, but 2019 he had that huge breakout year where he hit 31 homers in 93 games. And to be fair, everyone hit home runs in 2019, but he was injured a lot in the coming seasons. I mean, he hadn't played more than 90 games. Actually, he still hasn't played more than 90 games since that season. I mean, he played 93 games that year. This year was the most he'd played since then with 87. But I mean, in that time, he had an 870 OPS. I mean, the dude rakes when he's healthy, and he's finally getting a chance to play. I mean, the other thing is that the Rangers have Garver, who's, a good offensive catcher, but not a good defensive catcher. But then you have Jonah Heim, who has become a much improved offensive catcher while also being a very strong defender behind the plate. And in my opinion, is like a borderline top 5 catcher at this point. And you're talking about Evan Carter. I mean, I said this on the last podcast, but I mean, dude he just turned 21 in August. But I mean, watching him bat, he is the approach of a seasoned veteran, really. I mean, he's, like you said, he's always in full counts. He lays off those close pitches. He does not chase. He's a really fun player to watch. And I think the Rangers have a building block here. And the AL West and the American League really has to watch out because he's not going anywhere anytime soon. The Rangers, they executed, they got the hits. I know game 1, they left a lot of men on base, but their bullpen, the bullpen has proved me wrong so far. That's the one place I've been very, very wrong about, is that I did not trust the Rangers bullpen for a second coming into this postseason. And they were fantastic in the ALDS, and they've been strong in the ALCS too so far. So really not a lot of bad things to say. I think Nathan Eovaldi was great in the ALDS. I know Montgomery struggled, but Cody Bradford picked him up really well. And the Orioles, they just, I feel like the Orioles, it's tough because people will say, all right, they didn't buy at the deadline really. Like, why'd they only get Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline? But I mean, they were a year ahead of schedule, in my opinion. I think they would have been foolish to mortgage their prospects to get a big ace type player. Also, you gotta, they're being criticized for not making a stronger push at Justin Verlander. Well, you have to remember, Verlander had a no trade clause, and he basically put it out there that the place he wanted to waive it for was Houston. So you can't really fault the Orioles front office for that. I think the Orioles had a great season. I think they're going to be back next year. It's just that they ran into a buzzsaw. And like Alex said, when the Rangers are hot, they're like unstoppable. They look like world beaters. So they've been incredibly streaky. I'm really curious to see how they do in the ALCS. So any other final words on this series before we move on?
I think
Baltimore will be back. I don't really have any concerns there. Good lineup, good pitching that can improve over time. They still have guys on the farm that should be productive in 24, 25, 26, and so on. But I've stressed this before. I'm going to stress it again. You got to pay some people to have a good team, Baltimore. You can't just have, we're going to have 6 years of Adley, and then he's going to leave and get paid $700 million by like the Mets, right? That is bad baseball. You keep your franchise players, keep Henderson, keep Adley, keep G-Rod or Bradish, pick your guys and keep them. Yeah, you can shuffle around other places at times, and you're going to have a decent farm system at least, and you can, make moves as you need, but you got to lock up some of your studs. Like, you look at these teams now that are in this this Final Four. The Rangers, they went out and got their guys, right? They went out and got Seager. They went out and got Semien. Philly, you went out and go get Trey Turner. You go get a Schwarber. You go get a Harper. You go get a Wheeler, right? And then you have a homegrown, cultivated Aaron Nola, right? Houston, you have Tucker, who's elevated through their system. Yordan Alvarez, who elevated through their system. Great job, Dodgers, by the way. You probably could have had 10 World Series if he was on your team, idiots. Altuve, homegrown, but then they go get a Jose Abreu. They add to it, right? And Arizona, you have Corbin Carroll. They're a little bit ahead of schedule, I think, but you have the Corbin Carrolls of the world, and you go get a Gabriel Moreno in a trade, and you make a weak position stronger there, and you have the Walkers and the Martes and the Gallons, and they're going to keep some of those guys. They already paid Carroll, didn't they? So Baltimore, be smart. You have a good team. You have a lot of good players. Please pay them. I don't want to see them playing for the Mets in 5 years. Respect to the Mets. I don't want to see them playing for the Dodgers or the Angels or the White Sox or the Cubs or the Braves, or Braves maybe, but you get what I'm saying. Pay your players.
Like, I mean, I will completely echo that sentiment. Right now, as much as I want to give the Mariners hell for not spending on players yet, which hopefully that changes off season, they still did it back in 2021 with Julio. Like, 2022 with Julio. Like, you had him, you realized, you know what, this guy's gonna be a transcendental talent. We don't want him going anywhere, and so you lock him up forever, basically. And you know what? I still think that could go down as one of the smartest moves that a Mariner GM has made. And it will depend on how well he plays, obviously. But now it means that Julio, unless some weird twist of fate happens, will not wear another uniform aside from his Seattle Mariners uniform. And I think the Orioles need to be doing the same thing with Adley. I think that when we get down the line later on, your Adley may very well be the best catcher in baseball. I mean, right now, he's already vying for that title, and he is going to be, I think, at that point, if it reaches to that level, is going to be a potential MVP guy. So why not lock up? You have an amazing young core. You just got to keep them. You've got to keep Adley. You've got to keep guys like Gunnar Henderson, guys like Grayson Rodriguez. These players that are going to be studs for you. You have to do that, and that is going to be bigger than even signing any other major free agent. That is going to be bigger for your team's culture. Signing those young guys that you cultivated, that you brought up, keeping them there, so you're not just raising the corn to sell to the market.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I think about the Orioles, and they really haven't had anyone stay with them, I would say, since Cal Ripken Jr. I mean, yes, they signed Chris Davis to that massive contract, but that's the thing is, since then, I mean, they haven't given out a big contract. And I understand if the Chris Davis situation kind of scared them a little bit because that aged really badly, but they let Manny Machado, they traded Manny Machado in his contract year. I mean, they even Adam Jones left them eventually. I think they would be wise to at least start talking about extensions for guys like Adley and Gunnar. And I'm sure when he comes up, Jackson Holiday. I mean, G-Rod, I think, is the ace of their future. I don't know if Kyle Bradish will necessarily be able to replicate what he did this year, but I think he's solid. So, yeah, I think the Orioles will definitely be back. Just I hope they do play their cards right. So let's look at the other American League Division Series. This one, I think, was the least surprising outcome, which is the Astros beating the Twins in 4 games. Guys, give me your thoughts on this series. I feel like the Astros were the heavy favorites here, and they came through.
The fact that even some people were saying that the Astros were the underdogs here makes me laugh.
I've never heard anyone call
they were underdogs heading into Game 3.
Oh, okay.
By the betting market, they were heading into Game 3. Minnesota had the 2 home games. Minnesota was favored. It was like minus 100 or minus 120 to plus 100 or something like that. You could have gotten the Astros for plus money at one point.
But just anyway, on top of it, I felt bad because I really did like the Twins going into this series, and were they going to do great? We're probably not. But at the same time, I'm at least glad that we got to see the Twins in here because they finally got to play a series after playing a pretty decent year overall. And finally, they can get the word win back in their name again, which is always nice to see. But, I mean, yeah, at this point, they just felt outmatched. It really just felt like one of those series where one of the teams was there and the other one just kind of existed. Like they were just there to have fun, which to be fair, sometimes that's the most dangerous team. But at the same time, like this one just felt out of reach from the word go. Did anyone else get the same vibe?
I wouldn't go that far. I
yeah,
thought Minnesota played reasonably well. I didn't think Minnesota got like run over or anything. They competed, and I like the pitching and I like the bullpen, especially you have Yohan Duran at the end. The lineup is a little light, I'll say. They did activate Buxton for game 4, which that's a travesty that took that long, but I guess you're right, Alex. So you have this not as deep lineup, but excellent pitching. And there were some cases to be made that Houston should have gone with Verlander in game 4 to just win game 4. So you didn't have to go face Pablo Lopez again, who was unbelievable in game 2 in Houston, down in Houston. So I thought Minnesota had a pulse. They weren't the Dodgers who got just steamrolled. They weren't Baltimore who kind of got steamrolled. They were more in the Atlanta realm that they were going to pitch. They just couldn't really hit. So I think Minnesota has, pieces for the future. They are in the, I'm going to call it Four Stooges division with disasters around them. And if you're going to make the playoffs every year as a 3 seed, they got over the hump of finally winning a playoff game. I don't want to face this team in October. It's very, very Brewers-y, very Phillies from a pitching standpoint, not from definitely not from a hitting standpoint. But from a pitching standpoint, you have 2 guys that are going to go ball out. Then you have a third guy you're pretty confident in, Joe Ryan. And I think Minnesota gets a pass for me this year. They get a good grade.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Like the rest of the division, disaster zone. Well, Detroit was reasonable actually, but Cleveland F. Like you finished 3rd, then Kansas City and Chicago F. Maybe not for F, or maybe not for Kansas City, but Chicago F.
Chicago definitely,
yeah, 100%.
Props to Minnesota this year.
Yeah. That's the thing is the Twins. I mean, they made game 1 interesting, which was, I mean, they were down, 5-0, and then all of a sudden, you get the 3-run homer by Polanco, the solo homer by Royce Lewis. Who, by the way, Royce Lewis is going to be a fantastic player for a long time.
Oh yeah.
If he could just stay healthy, and we say that a lot about Byron Buxton, but it's the same with Lewis. He has to stay on the field because his bat plays like crazy. He's so good, and it was really fun to watch him ball out in the playoffs. Really, the Twins, they got a great performance from Lopez in game 2. They battled in game 4. They had an early lead, and Edouard Julien hit a home run. He had a good postseason. It's just the game 3 was a blowout. Jose Abreu with 2 homers. They also ran into Yordan Alvarez, and to say that dude's on fire right now would be just a complete understatement. He has 6 home runs through 6 games right now this postseason. That dude, I mean, 7 for 16 with 4 home runs in the LDS. It was 4 homers in the first 3 games. The dude's just a machine. Okay. I think the Twins, I did not have high expectations for them this year. I thought they held their own against these Astros. They lost in 4 games, but they put up a solid fight, really. I mean, heck, they won 3 postseason games this year. That's more than they won in the last 19 years combined. All right. So I think the Twins have a lot to be proud of, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them back next year. I mean, you have to watch out for Cleveland. I think they could have a resurgence, but really, I thought the Twins took a lot of steps forward this year. So, any other final thoughts on the Astros Twins before we move on to the National League side?
I do want to quickly retract the fact I did say that they just felt really out of it for a little bit. It just always felt when I was watching whatever I could that it just felt like the inevitable was going to happen, and felt a little bit sad. Like there's definitely some life in there, but it was almost just more like watching something kind of slow take place, basically. And again, I want the Twins to do well. I like the Twins overall. They actually have a beautiful ballpark, but right now, I think it's gonna be interesting to see what does happen in 2024 if they're gonna to spend more to beef up that team. Because right now, I'm not sure if Cleveland is going to stay down where they're at for that long, considering the kind of team they do have.
Yeah, no, it's just Cleveland regressed so badly this year, and I mean, I feel like for them they can only go up, really. But I think the Twins could keep going up too. Like I said, Royce Lewis could stay healthy. If Byron Buxton could stay healthy, they could definitely make some strides. So, anyways, let's move over to the National League side, and I'm going to start with that Phillies Braves series because I thought this was the most. I mean, of the two LDS series, I thought this one had the most intrigue. You know, it was the Phillies and Braves. It was a rematch of last year's LDS. Splash, I'm going to go to you first since I know you're our Braves guy. I mean, just I know that you guys I know that you guys your team lost the series, but give me your thoughts on this series.
Well, Spencer Strider, I want to give a shout out to him. He entered this series with a 19.29 ERA in the playoffs. Yeah, we all remember what happened in Philly last year. He came in, allowed 4 earned runs over 12 and 2/3 against Philly. Yeah, he allowed the 3 home runs in game 4. I get it. It's the Philadelphia freaking Phillies. They score runs on everybody. It took Zach Gallen 3 batters to allow 2 home runs today. Are you bashing Gallen? No, you're not bashing him as much as he did with Strider. So I thought Strider was excellent. Max Fried folded like a lawn chair. I will say he had the when I did Yankee games, when I tweeted Yankee games, there was a Garrett Cole start that he allowed like 3 runs over 6 innings, and he just didn't have the right stuff. And I tweeted, this is an ace level game, just enough or always competitive enough ace because he didn't have his stuff, but the Yankees ended up winning that game in extras. Max Fried did enough. He didn't have his stuff at all. He walked a bunch of guys, hit a guy, just was horrible, but he kept the lid on it enough. And like 3 out of 4 games, the Braves pitched really well. The bullpen was excellent in 3 out of 4 games. It helped them come back and win game 2. It gave them a chance in game 4. It, in theory, would have given them a chance in game 1 if the offense woke up at all. But it's just a quiet offense. And credit to the Phillies, they had a strategy of we're just going to spam Atlanta with left-handed pitching, which usually doesn't work because Atlanta is excellent against lefties. But the way Atlanta's order is set up, at least in games 2, 3, and 4, you had lefties in just the right spot to curtail any rally. Olson was horrendous. He had an OPS just over 500. That's not going to get it done. Ozzie Albies didn't do a whole lot. When he was forced to hit from either side for that matter. Michael Harris had more game-ending double plays than hits in the series. Think about that for a moment. He had 1 game-ending double play and 0 hits. So it's the rarest put out to end a World Series ever, or end a playoff game ever, besides the unassisted triple play, and then doesn't get a hit in the series. It's just kind of the luck of the draw in the playoffs that you ran into a really good pitching staff. You ran into a bunch of lefties in the bullpen, and you couldn't string together hits. You'd get 1 or 2 hits. There's lots of men left on base. And it's just a struggle. So credit to the Phillies, but I will give credit to the Braves pitching staff that 3 out of the 4 games, they gave the offense a shot. You're telling me game 1, you allow 3 runs and you lose. That's an offense problem, not a pitching problem, not a Strider problem. Game 2, you allow 4 runs, you come back and win. Yeah, Fried wasn't great, but he did just enough for you. Game 4, you allow the 3 solo homers. You're in Philadelphia. That ballpark is like the size of a penny. And you allow 3 runs, all on solo homers, and you lose. That's not Strider's fault. That's not the bullpen's fault. That's Acuna, Albies, Riley. Well, Riley did hit a homer, so we can excuse him. Olson, Murphy, who is horrendous again. d'Arnaud, Rosario, Pilar, all the pinch hitters. Vaughn Grissom came in at the end, struck out to end the season. It's their fault. That's the problem. That's what went wrong. A team that hit 307 home runs in the regular season, was setting all sorts of records for offensive production, fell flat when it mattered. In 2 ballparks that it's like 2 good hitting ballparks. It's not like they played at the Polo Grounds and Citi Field.
Yeah, no, like I This series was just weird to me. Like looking at it right now, I definitely thought that the Braves were the better team. I agree that they are overall a better team, but the Phillies have just this innate ability. We saw this last year that when the bright lights are on, they turn on. They have been playing incredible baseball in the playoffs the last 2 years. And even if they didn't win the World Series last year, they put up a hell of a fight. And in this series, I think that really showed that. And to kind of echo the sentiment that you brought in there, Splash, like every one of these ball games, except for the third one, was winnable by either side. The third one, just Philadelphia started and they did not stop. So, but you take a look at the scores here, right? Philadelphia beating Atlanta 3-0 in the first one. Second game, it's a one-run ball game, 5-4 in favor of Atlanta. Philadelphia, they're winning 10-2 in game 3 in Philadelphia. And then the final game, Atlanta loses 3-1 to the Philadelphia Phillies, and they advance to the NLCS. I mean, only one of those games did it ever feel like one team was clearly better on that one day. And that was on that third game. And each one of these, like, you echo your sentiment here. Like, every one of this is more of an offense problem than anything, which is, again, funny considering that how much we have as a collective group, not just you, as a group, we have raved about how good the Braves offense is this year. When you have guys like Acuna that are doing their jobs, like Murphy, like all these guys. I don't think that this should be anything that the Braves should be truly concerned about. But at the same time, you're always going to look back on this and say, man, we could have won this one. Our pitching gave us enough to win this game, and you didn't. And we've already started to hear about a lot of people calling the Braves chokers. And I don't like that. I really don't. They've won a World Series in the last few years. They have played some amazing baseball over the last few years. And unlike the Dodgers, who have done this for a decade and have won a World Series title in the 60-game COVID year, like, that's a team that you could call a choker. This is a team that is putting out quality games, quality seasons. And even when they're in the playoffs, it doesn't feel like it's over. Like, even on the final game, when you lost 3-1, you didn't feel like it was over until that final out was recorded.
Yeah, no, here's the thing is that to Splash's point, I think the Braves pitching staff actually did a little better than I expected. I mean, really, after they lost Charlie Morton, I thought that was there's a reason why I picked the Phillies to win this series. That I really thought that they lacked depth behind Spencer Strider. I mean, you had Fried who hadn't pitched because he was on the injured list. You're starting Bryce Elder in Game 3. With all due respect to Bryce, I don't consider him the guy I'd want to pitch
take away the all due respect. He deserves none. It was a disaster. Take it away. Just redact that. Redact that.
Yeah, okay.
Bryce Elder should not have started a playoff game. I bring up Waldrop from AAA. I don't even know if he was eligible. Brian Snitker would have been better on the mound. Bryce Elder is a fraud. Yeah. He is one of the worst batted ball pitchers I've ever seen. He gets outs because he has like good defenders behind him, and then when the ball is not hit directly to them, it's over, and it's beyond frustrating. And then you leave him and you let him face Bryce Harper. Like, Brian Snitker probably should have been fired for that. Respectfully, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I don't care if you throw Harper 4 pitches that land on the moon. Don't throw a strike to Bryce Harper in that situation. If I could have live bet, I would have bet my entire savings account on Harper hitting a 500 feet. I would have lost because it was only like 450.
Yeah, exactly. But the issue I have here is that this is the team that scored the most runs in baseball, and they scored only 8 runs in 4 games. And it felt like the only guy who showed up was Austin Riley. I mean, you got 2 for 14 from Acuna, 2 for 13 from Arcia, 0 for 13 from Harris. I mean, 2 for 13 from Ozuna. Really, it's just a lot of nothing they hit 186 collectively in that series. And that's not going to cut it in the playoffs. Yes, Splash.
They had one double in the entire series.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Acuna has a double. They had a couple home runs. You had the 2 home runs in game 3,
They had
in
4
game
extra
2.
base hits.
Yeah, so you have the one double and you have 3 homers, and Riley has 2 of them. d'Arnaud gets the Wheeler. Wheeler was unbelievable that game. He had made one mistake and
He made one
d'Arnaud
mistake
took
to
him deep.
Darno. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
Wheeler was unbelievable again. But yeah, that's not going to get it done. You can't win consistently in the playoffs if you're just hitting singles. And this is a
That's
team
the
that
thing.
this is a team that set the record for slugging percentage in a season. They slugged .501 and get 4 extra base hits in the playoffs, have one double in 4 games and 3 home runs. You're not winning any series. In the last 50 years, you're not winning any series like that, unless you're like the Whitey Ball Cardinals in stealing 70 bases, which in fairness, Acuna did steal a couple bases, and Acuna was unbelievable on the base paths and scored 2 runs essentially based on his base running, but just disappointing. There was no energy. Like, it's
their body language is awful all series. I'll say that.
And I know Orlando RC is getting drugged through the mud because of that, the comments he made to Harper, and it was in the locker room. If you broadcast the Phillies locker room after game whatever, I'm sure they're not. Oh, the Braves are such a good team. Ronald Acuna is so good at baseball. Ozzy Albies, he's so. There's no way they're doing that. I promise you, there's no way they're doing that. They had to have said something negative about the Braves. Let's go to Texas Baltimore. I would imagine after game 1, someone in the Texas locker room said, well, Gunnar Henderson's going to learn one day to not steal second off Jonah Heim. If that gets publicized, oh no, it's chaos. But no, it has to be against Bryce Harper. He has to hit a moonshot piss missile the next game. Just grow up.
What's it called? The thing is that there's this whole, for some reason, there's been this argument about home runs not. Some people, for some reason, argue that hitting home runs doesn't win you ball games. Well, in that series, the Phillies out homered the Braves 11-3. I mean, 4 home runs from Castellanos, 7 for 15, 6 for 13 with 3 home runs for Harper. Trey Turner went 8 for 17 with 2 homers. I mean,
would even say at that point that's the homers win games. Just good offense will win you games. Like you said that they out homered 11-3 like that. Let's change the narrative slightly on that. They hit more home runs in that series. They hit almost triple the amount of homers than the Braves did in just extra base hits in general.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. It's like people will argue that home runs don't win you ball games, but like clearly it's shown that if you out homer your opponent, like I'm not saying you have to go up swinging for the fences, but at the same time, home runs do win you ball games. And
I would say more extra base hits win you ball games, mate.
That too, yes, I agree.
I think that extra base hit right now, a good double that keeps a rally going. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If I have the chance to hit a homer or double and I get to choose, I'm definitely choosing the homer. But I also want to make sure that we're giving love to doubles, to triples.
Oh yeah.
To extra base hits in the gap that keep a rally going and keep that momentum going, and then on top of it also keep the pitcher working from the stretch, which, you know what, most of the time pitchers are better when they're in the windup. So
yeah, okay, Brian Kenny. This is the Freddie Freeman over Matt Olson argument all over again, and just rephrased differently. And Brian Kenny went on national television and said that it was more impressive to have 55 doubles and 20 home runs than 54 home runs and 25 doubles. Like, Jesus Christ, you are paid to talk baseball. What are we doing here?
That's not all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, I want to say right now, just overall, that extra base hits are going to win. And guess what? Home runs are included in extra base hits.
Yeah. So, but the other thing I want to hit on is I understand, yes, the Phillies stars showed up in the series, but also their starting pitching was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, you got 2 solid starts out of Ranger Suarez. Strong outing from Wheeler. Yes, he made the one mistake to d'Arnaud. Nola was really good in his start. Really, the Phillies did the little things right. And their pitchers, I mean, other than that home run by Riley in game 2, their bullpen was fantastic too. So major credit to them. I mean, this is a team that played at a 99 win pace from June 1st onwards. we knew how good they were, and they played to their expectations. So, anyways, I'm going to move on to the last series, and I think this was the most shocking outcome of
I
this
mean, for you guys.
postseason. Well, yeah, that's the
This
thing.
wasn't a series. This was a loose
I mean,
assortment. This was
seriously.
exhibition games. These were
I
not
mean,
close. The
I can't believe this. Yeah, the D-backs sweeping the Dodgers. I definitely did not have this in the cards. Alex over here was the only one who picked the D-backs of us, and he picked the D-backs in 3. So Alex, I mean, you talk to me first. I mean, I are you a psychic or something? Like,
Yes,
are you
I am.
Nostradamus? I mean,
I am perfect, is what we say. No, I mean my logic that I gave on the show last week, which by the way, go listen to last week's podcast. I'm gonna repeat what I said here. Holds true. When you have a team that is on a good momentum tear, and you have 2 to 3 solid starting pitchers going up against a team that does not have any starting pitchers, guess what team I'm going to favor in that? Regardless of how good the offense was for the Dodgers, the pitching for the Diamondbacks is what really won them this series. Right now, over the course of the 3 games, do I know how many runs the Dodgers scored? 6. 2, 2, and 2. They never could count to 3. And yet the Diamondbacks first game dropped an 11 burger. They dropped an 11 burger on the Dodgers. And then game 2 won 4-2, and then decided, hey, you know what? That sounds good. Let's do that one more time. And then won 4-2 again. And how did they get to this? By having a good set of starting pitchers, having good bullpen arms, Paul Sewald shutting the door whenever it was needed of him. So again, maybe give at this moment right now, give the Diamondbacks the edge in the Mariners and Diamondbacks right earlier, sending Sewald to the Diamondbacks. But right now, that was an exhibition in why pitching is so important. And basically, like, that's honestly, I think, the moral of the story from this entire series is that you look at these 2 teams. One of them looks like a juggernaut, but they are beat to heck and back. Whereas one of the team is the lucky upstart that is more solidified in their pitching. And guess what team won? The team that was solid when it came to starting pitching, that had a good bullpen and had enough offense to do exactly what they needed to do, and then showed off in the first one, which, by the way, after that first game, I was confident it was going to be 3. Just saying, okay, you just made a statement win. That first game was a statement saying that the Diamondbacks are here to play.
Let me give you some quick stats. Clayton Kershaw, 162 ERA. Clayton Kershaw, a 21 whip. Mookie Betts slashed 0.083. Freddie Freeman slashed 100, 250, 100. Jason Hayward 0 for 7, did not reach base. Will Smith, shout out to Will Smith. He was the only player with the pulse. Max Muncy hit under 200. JD Martinez hit 200. Dodgers, bye-bye. I'm not going to talk about this series anymore. This was pointless. This was just an exhibition series. This was, you know how the Dodgers had like an intra-squad game and the Braves had an intra-squad game? The Diamondbacks just essentially played an intra-squad game with their AA affiliate.
I mean, seriously, you get from the first inning of game 1 of that series, you could tell something was wrong with the Dodgers. I mean, 6 runs in the first inning, 5 before the first out is recorded. It's the first time in Clayton Kershaw's career he did not get out of the first inning. I mean, I couldn't believe how lopsided this series felt. I understand those next 2 games are only decided by 2 runs each, but I mean, game 3 with those 4 home runs in the third inning of that game, including when Gabriel Moreno hit a home run, it was called foul, and then he got right back up and pulled one over the left center field fence. I mean, it felt like everything went the D-backs way. And really, I don't know why, looking back at this, I'm not sure why I picked the Dodgers to win the series, because they had Clayton Kershaw, who's 35 and dealing with a bad shoulder. And then they have to start Bobby Miller, who's a rookie, and Lance Lynn, who had the worst season of his career this year. You got to realize Tony Gonsolin's out, Dustin May is out, Walker Bueller is out, Julio Urias is out. I mean, really, they didn't have 80% of their rotation. So their pitching staff was already at a disadvantage. I thought their offense could hold up. Their offense clearly could not hold up. You need your big, like I said with the Braves, you need your stars to show up. And Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and JD Martinez, none of them showed up. So really, that series was a bloodbath. And I mean, props to the D-backs. They've proved me very, very wrong that series. And really, the Dodgers 10 postseason, 11 postseason trips in a row, and one ring in a shortened 60 game season. So the Dodgers, I don't know what the accurate comp would be to other sports, but that's just a rough look in my opinion. So it was, I mean, let's briefly go over what's going on in the championship series. So the Rangers have a 2-0 series lead over the Astros. The Rangers have now won 7 games in a row to start their postseason run in. The Phillies held off the D-backs. They had a bit of a late push, 5-3 in game 1, so they're up 1-0. I'm going to do sort of the same thing we did last week, which is the Astros and the D-backs both are trailing in their series. Which team do you think has a better chance to come back and win their series?
Diamondbacks. Easy. I think right now, like what we were talking about with the Rangers, they are on an absolute tear right now and are playing some amazing baseball and have beaten the Astros not once but twice now in a row. They're already at 2-0, have only 2 more wins, whereas the Astros need 4. Like, don't get me wrong, the Astros can still definitely win it, but right now the Diamondbacks are only down by 1 game. And I think with how they've played, with how they've been so good about trying to start games hot and then just keep working from there, I think that's going to be one of the ways how you can beat the Phillies. I think that the NLCS is going to be the more interesting of the 2 championship series.
Strong disagree. The Diamondbacks are not going to see a game 6. Houston's been better on the road all season. This is a team that's battle tested. This is a team that in their last 4 playoff series, I believe, answered after losing game 1 to win the series. That's just something they do. They respond well to adversity. Go back to even when they lost the World Series in 2019, they won 3 straight games to force a game 6 at home to clinch the World Series. They ended up losing game 6 and game 7, but that's not the point. But this is a battle-tested team. This is a deep lineup full of guys that have played in the playoffs, performed in the playoffs. You have Yordan Alvarez, you have Jose Altuve. It's just a matter of time before Altuve gets it rolling in the playoffs. You have Kyle Tucker, you have Jose Abreu, you have Charles McCormick, you have Jeremy Pena, and you have good enough pitching. And I think the pitching depth of the Astros is a strength for them in moving into this series, while the Rangers are going to have to start using those bullpen arms over and over and over again. It's one thing when you sweep the Orioles and it's just 3 games, you're in, you're out. That's normal. But 4 games, 5 games, 6 games in a short time span, all against the same team, I think that needle is going to start to turn back towards Houston. And I think Houston has a reasonable shot of winning the series. And it likely would take 7 at this point. I don't think they're going to reverse sweep the Rangers here, but I think the Diamondbacks are dead. I would have a considerable sum of money on the Phillies winning in either 4 or 5. So I think the Diamondbacks are cooked. We'll see you next year. They should be very good next year and very good for the long run. It's been a great season, 84 wins, more than I thought they would have. I will say I was a big proponent of them early in the season. You can go back, check the @LAR_baseball Twitter. I had some Diamondbacks propaganda early on in this season, but Merrill Kelly, good. Zach Gallen, good. Not as good as the Phillies.
Yeah, so I will say,
Splash.
I will say, I don't know if necessarily the Astros can win this series, but they have a better chance, I think, at least to make things interesting. By the way, Max Scherzer is going to start game 3. I don't know if that's a good thing, honestly, because he can't really pitch. I'm assuming he can't pitch more than a few innings right now. He's been out since September 12th. And so I think that there's also a chance that the Rangers' streakiness could work against them. We saw this in August when they won 8 games in a row and then later in the month lost 8 games in a row. So I think it could go one of 2 ways. I think, the Rangers could flat out sweep them, or the Astros backdoor sweep them or something like that. I still think I mean, I before this series said the Rangers will win in 7 games. And I mean, I still think that's a strong possibility to happen, but I would just say I wouldn't count out the Astros yet. The D-backs, I think, are kind of overmatched. As much as I mean, I hope I'm wrong here, but I think the Phillies look real dangerous. So, anyways, that's all we have on the playoffs. I'm going to throw it over to Alex now for this next segment. We're going to do rant roulette again. He has the prompts, so Alex, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rant Roulette. For those of you that did not listen to the last podcast, go listen to the last podcast. But I'll explain how it's going to work anyway here. So what we've got here is we've got a bunch of prompts here, some baseball related, some not baseball related. So it could just be general life advice. And I'm going to roll a dice here, and whoever comes up here, I'm just gonna put it into a list here. Whoever gets whoever prompt, they'll just have to go on a rant about it. So let's start out here. So I have a dice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it is 1 or 2, I will go first. 2, 3 or 4, it'll be Mac. 5 or 6, it will be Splash. It is 3. So Mac, you will be going first here. Your
All
rant
right.
is going to be as the random thing ready to go here. One that was presented by Splash. Of the teams that have lost 100 games in 2023 for the White Sox, Oakland, Kansas City, and Colorado, which one has the brightest future, do you think?
Oh my, this is honestly a tough question because I think talent wise, the team I like the most here is probably Kansas City. They at least have some star power with Bobby Witt Jr. I think Cole Reagans is a budding ace. I think they have a lot of talent throughout their organization. I just compared to the rest of the teams, like I think the Rockies have like no direction really right now. The A's, I want to believe in the A's, but then they'll end up selling off half their team, and then you know they'll go back to losing 110 games again. The White Sox are just kind of spinning their wheels, so I think the Royals have some sense of direction. Their farm system is improving. I know they were ranked really badly coming into this year, but I think led by Bobby Witt and Cole Reagans, I think I like the Royals the most going forward out of these teams.
I'm going to throw it out there real quick while we're talking about the Rockies. They spent $171 million on their team this season.
Yep,
That is like
me.
one decent player away from being where like Houston, Atlanta, those kind of teams were. $171 million. That's twice as much as Baltimore, Cleveland, Oakland, teams like that. Are you kidding me, Colorado? Your team stinks. What? Who are you? Who is getting paid all this money? Is this just a big money
Wade
laundering
Davis
operation?
probably still.
Wade Davis, Chris
Nolan
Bryant.
Arenado.
With all due respect to Chris Bryant.
Yeah, wait, Nolan Arenado, I think is still on the payroll, right?
Good point. But like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Colorado? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm gonna roll the dice one more time. 1 or 3 is 1 through 3 is me. 4 through 6 it is Splash. The roll is, if it'll stay on the table, 3, so it'll be me. So my prompt is I put it into the random generator. If I could change one rule in baseball, what would it be? Oh, that's an interesting one. If I could change one rule in baseball, what do I think I would change? Okay, I'm gonna be probably dumb here, but actually no, I know what I'm gonna do. I would raise the roster limit for all teams. I would raise it to a 30, honestly, because I think 30 is a good round number that you can have for it, but also that lets you bring in more pitchers, especially with right now what you've had. This year, a lot of people have been kind of angry at the pitch clock here, but a lot of pitchers have been angry at the pitch clock because they say that's leading to more injuries, which I mean, I think that's just an adjustment period personally. But if you have more pitchers on your roster, that means that you could take more pressure off of those arms. You have more people that you can work with. And just having more people on the major league roster, I think is just a good thing in general, personally. So you could use that time for more pitchers, an extra bench batter too. I think that would be a fun thing to do.
I don't mean to be contrarian all the time, but I feel like I'd rather have my guys in AAA. like if you're, say, let me use Atlanta as an example. If you're expanding the roster to 30 teams, would you rather have that, 27, 28, 29, 30 be low leverage, like fourth inning, fifth inning guys for the major league team, or like occasional pinch hit bats? Or would you rather them be in Gwinnett playing every day in the lineup, or being a starter and throwing 6 innings, 80, 90 pitches every fourth day, every fifth day?
But I think that comes down to like still just what your strategy is at that point. Like you don't have to have the young guys in those spots.
That's true.
If you want to have the people there, then go for it. But maybe you could use those spots for guys that are designed to just be, pinch hitters, or just supposed to be those
platoon guys,
spots.
stuff like
yeah,
that.
Platoon
Yeah,
guys.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
I could see that. I don't know. I think some teams it'd be better for some teams than other teams. Like I feel like Tampa would just get more platoon guys and more like left-handed relief pitchers, and like they'd be well and dandy. And then you'd have other teams like the Mets and the Braves that have the same lineup every single day that are kind of like, okay, we're just going to bring up random 38-year-old relievers that have thrown 17 million innings.
Fair enough at that point. All right, we're going to move over to you here, Splash. Your topic is going to be, one that you actually gave, I believe. What is your favorite piece of sports paraphernalia that you own?
Okay, so I have two that I came up with when I came up with this prompt. First of all, this isn't like a thing I can like grab, but I am a shareholder in the Green Bay Packers. I think that's pretty awesome. Like a general sports thing. I get invited every July to the shareholders meeting at Lambeau. I've never been. I should go one year. But I think my absolute favorite item is a cap from one of the seats at Turner Field. I didn't end up going to the game because I had it was the last game at Turner Field, and I was in Plains, Georgia, listening to President Jimmy Carter do Sunday school. I fell asleep during that, by the way. But my dad and his buddy went to the game, and at the end of the game, they pried off the seat number, like from the side of the armrest, the side of the armrest, it says 7 on it, and they pried it out because they weren't going to use it anymore, right? So I think that's the number one thing from the last game at Turner Field.
I dig that. I think it's a pretty cool piece of paraphernalia.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's yeah. I mean, I feel like that's like I know people who have dirt from the old Yankee Stadium. I mean, that's
it's unique.
Yeah,
A lot of people have a Braves hat, or I have a hat that it's not signed by Sid Bream, but Sid Bream wrote his number in it that my godfather gave to me. That's up there, but I think definitely on sentimental value, that's up there. That it's, if you just went in my room, you wouldn't really notice it, but I cherish it.
I'll give a quick answer to this one it's actually right here on the back of my chair. I have a Dave Niehaus jersey signed by Rick Rizzs. So 2 of my broadcasting idols. So that works for me. So that is going to do it though for Rant Roulette. What are topics that you guys would like to see us do for Rant Roulette? Make sure to let us know in the comment section below on Twitter at LAR_baseball. But for now, it is trivia time, I believe. So with that, I'm going to hand it over
to
Splash.
Boyos and Bozos, welcome back to Ben 10, based on your favorite childhood TV show, Ben 10. If you are unfamiliar, we've only run this game once, but to fill you in, picture a Venn diagram with 3 circles instead of 2. These circles overlap. There's a little section in the middle. There's intersections between each of the circles, and then there's a little section of each circle that it's only that. So it would be A, B, and C. There's an A and B, there's an A, B, and C. There's a B, C, there's an A, C, there's a B only, there's a C only, and then there's out in the blue moon of nothing. Shout out to Blue Moon Odom. So today, the goal is to get to 10 points, hence the name Venn 10. And today, the categories are Major League Baseball Hall of Famer or Baseball Hall of Famer, Gold Glove winner, and Silver Slugger. So Alex, because your football team gave me depression this weekend and Max did not play this weekend, Alex, you shall go first here.
Okay, then I'm going to go with one that I know has all 3 of these, and that is my boy, Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey Jr., I will do the due diligence of checking. He is the Hall of Famer, but I'll give you the exact number of gold gloves and whatnot. He has 7 Silver Sluggers, 10 gold gloves, and he was, in fact, a Hall of Famer. So that's 3 points
Hall of
for
Fame
Alex.
ceremony.
There you go. Mac, your turn.
Okay, I believe this is one that gets all 3. Cal Ripken Jr.
Cal Ripken Jr.
And we're doing like what, 5 rounds of this, correct?
First to 10.
First to 10
points. Okay.
Yep. 2-time Gold Glover, 8-time Silver Slugger, and he is a Hall of Famer. That's 3 for Mac. Alex.
Okay. I'm gonna go Willie Mays.
Willie Mays is a Hall of Famer. He is a 12-time Gold Glover and a 0-time Silver Slugger, sir. That is a 2
because
point.
Silver Sluggers did not exist yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. All right, Mac.
Okay, I have to do some thinking here. I think this guy checks all 3 boxes. Ryne Sandberg.
That's exactly who I was thinking you were going to guess.
Nice.
The Rhino, 1984 National League MVP. Great second baseman. Is a 9-time Gold Glover, 7-time Silver Slugger, and a Hall of Famer, of course. Alex, back to you. Mac leads 6-5.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of just through positions, like what players have recently gone into the Hall of Fame or have been in the last few years. And there's a few that have. I think this guy went into the Hall of Fame, and I'm pretty sure he would have both. I don't know why this name's coming to me right now, but Alan Trammell.
Alan Trammell, Tigers legend. Also, Lou Whitaker should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. That just put Lou Whitaker in the Hall of Fame. Alan Trammell, Hall of Famer, 4-time Gold Glover, 3-time Silver Slugger. That is a triple for Alex. 8-6. Alex leads. Mac, back to you.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ivan Pudge Rodriguez.
That's a good one.
The IROD 1999 American League MVP, World Series champion with the Florida Marlins, 13 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers, and 1 Hall of Fame induction. 9 points for Mac. Alex, back to you. If you reach 10 here, I'm just going to go. You guys can go back and forth until one of you can't surpass the other one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm just trying to figure out who are players that I know have done all of these in some way, shape, or form, obviously, but I'm kind of like going like team to team. And I'm 99% sure this guy's in the Hall of Fame. Like, I feel, why am I second guessing myself on this? Like, something in the back of my brain is nagging that he's not. But Larry Walker?
Larry Walker, 1997 National League MVP, famous for a Baseball Bits video made after him, a 3-time Silver Slugger, a 7-time Gold Glover, and a Hall of Famer. That's 11 points so far for Alex.
For some reason, it was like my mind was telling me he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm like, yes, he is. He deserves to be. Was he like one of those that was just like left out or something?
He made it in his last year of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Mac, you must get at least 2 points here to tie.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. I have to do some thinking here. Okay.
Also, a shout out to Larry Walker's Twitter, CDN Moose Laps.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. I want to say this guy checks all 3, but I really don't know. Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre. I would assume you're talking about Mr. Padre, not his son.
Yes, Tony Gwynn.
Okay.
Mr. Padre.
Yes, 5 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall of Fame induction. 12 points for Mac. Alex.
All right, so I gotta keep going for 3, right? Like,
I mean, it doesn't have to be 3, but if you're not getting 3, that makes it Mac can like gain an advantage on you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go for someone that I'm pretty sure has done all 3, even though he probably shouldn't have one of them. I'm gonna go with the captain, Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter, many-time World Series champion. Lots of disrespect thrown his way on the Bird app. 5 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall of Fame induction. 1 vote shy of unanimous. Mac.
Yeah.
So wait, how many does Alex have now?
He's up to
He's
14.
14. I have 12.
Yep.
All right.
So once again, you got to get at
Okay.
least 2 to continue.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Uh,
Shout out the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan, by the way.
yes. The tough part is like, yeah, Silver Sluggers weren't really a thing until the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So, I honestly don't know if this guy got all three, but I know he got in the Hall of Fame. And I know he was a really good defensive third baseman. Scott Rowland.
Scott Rowland, World Series champion in 2006, definitely Hall of Fame inductee. We covered that on this podcast.
Mhm.
1-time Silver Slugger, 8-time Gold
There we
Glover.
go.
Ooh.
Alex, back to you. You're down 1.
Okay, so I had a name come to me, and I was scared when you said third base that you're going to take this guy from me. And that is one Mr. Chipper Jones.
All right. The Braves legend, 1995 World Series champion. I was in the building for his 2700th hit.
Nice.
He is a 2-time Silver Slugger, a Hall of Fame inductee, but never won a Gold Glove.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
He wasn't that great of a
He was
defensive
all
third
right
baseman.
I know,
defensively.
yeah, but we don't know that.
And he was
it's just a
also
popularity
competing with
contest,
Scott
though.
Rowland.
Oh,
So
that's
it's like,
fair. I guess that's fair.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the
he had a
tough part.
couple. He had
All
a
right.
couple years that he was all right defensively, but he was never that guy. So Mac, you're down 1. So you need
So I'm
one
only
to,
down 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
Whew.
does he need to win it right here?
Well, he can just, if he gets it wrong entirely, you win. If he scores any points, then we continue. But if he gets a 3, then he'd be up 2. And there might be a
Yeah.
situation that if he goes up 3 or 4, or if he goes up 3, then you would need a 3 to tie. So
Okay.
I explained
Yeah.
that horribly, but
No, you're good, you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. Man, again, I'm doing that thing with the Silver Sluggers. I mean, it's tough to remember who played when. That guy definitely didn't win any Gold Gloves. Man, this is more difficult than I expected. I'll tell you that much.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not sure if this guy got all 3, but I'm assuming he got 2 of these. Ricky Henderson.
the Man of Steel. A shout out to the guy who runs a Ricky Henderson fan page on Twitter. He interacts with our tweets when we tweet about Ricky.
Nice.
Ricky Henderson, 1 Gold Glove, 3 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall
Let's
of Fame induction.
go.
Nice.
Alex, you are
1
down
Gold
2,
Glove
sir.
only?
Yes, 1. He won it
Oh.
in 19. I wish Baseball Reference would let me scroll. He won a Gold Glove in 1982, his 3rd season in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
He probably deserved more than 1, by the way.
So there's a couple names I'm bouncing around right now. As I know he's definitely gotten 2. I'm just trying to figure out if he had 3. And the one I'm not sure on is the Gold Glove. You know what? I'm gonna go for it here. I'm gonna go with Vladimir Guerrero Sr.
Vladdy Sr., Rangers legend, Orioles legend, once hit a baseball after it bounced to the plate.
Yep.
Overpowered in MLB Power Pros, 2004
Completely.
American League MVP, 8-time Silver Slugger, Hall of Fame inductee, 0-time Gold Glover.
Dang it! I took a risk.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if he, because
All
I
right.
know that his glove was the best, but his arm was a cannon.
That's the issue, is that he had a fantastic arm, but he really wasn't that good of a defensive outfielder. I mean,
Yeah.
as a guy, a Stratomatic guy, he is like, I believe I had his card in 2006, and he had like a 4 with a 15 error rating, which is one of the worst you could have as an outfielder. But he had a -4 arm, which is one of the best you can have.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, that's the tough part with Vlad.
All
So
right. Mac, it's a tie game. If you give a 3, then Alex would have to match with 3.
yeah, okay. So I'm trying to go for the knockout punch here. Again, the tough part is remembering who's won a Silver Slugger for me. So I know there are a couple guys who definitely got 2 of them, 2 of these categories. Man, I don't know why I'm struggling with this. It's also trying to block out the guys who I know who are going to get into the Hall of Fame but aren't in the Hall of Fame yet.
That's exactly what I
Yeah,
was
that's
thinking.
why I was struggling with that too.
I mean,
Uh,
seriously.
you could guess one of them, and that would get you points.
Yeah.
It
All
just would be
right.
not guaranteeing not three.
Yes.
Oh my God. I oh I believe this guy has all three because I think Silver Slugger's worth a Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt, um, Michael Jack Schmidt, six Silver Sluggers, 10 Gold Gloves, one Hall of
Yeah, I
Fame
figured.
induction.
All
Very
All right,
right.
nice.
Alex, you need a
All
triple
right.
here.
I'm gonna go with the other name that I had here, and that is the father of one Cavan Biggio, Craig Biggio.
Craig Biggio, the king of the hit by pitch, Mr. 3000 hits, Astros legend, played catcher, outfield, second base.
His catcher
Yeah,
secondary on MLB The Show is always much
Oh
appreciated.
yeah, of
there you
course.
go. Four Gold Gloves, five Silver Sluggers, one Hall of
Yep.
Fame
Oh my
induction.
There we
God.
go.
Mac, back to you.
Okay. Oh man,
Shout
I
out
thought
Seton
Schmidt.
Hall.
Yeah, he went there. I thought I had you on wraps there. That's the
No,
problem.
to be fair, you probably did. The problem was I came up with one.
Yeah. Okay.
Ugh.
I'm gonna go with his Astros teammate. The only issue is I don't know if he got any Gold Gloves, so I'm gonna go with Jeff Bagwell.
Ooh.
Should have been Red Sox legend Jeff Bagwell. I don't know how the Red Sox
Trade in for
botched that
Larry
one.
Anderson.
Man, like if you wrote like Bagwell's history in a book, or you tried to pitch it to Hollywood, they would reject it. They would say it's too unrealistic. And everything happened. His grandmother was a Red Sox fan. The Red Sox drafted him in the fourth round, and then they trade him. Uh, Jeff Bagwell, only a three-time Silver Slugger, Hall of Fame inductee, and one Gold
Oh,
Glove.
thank God.
Wow.
I wasn't sure
Alex,
about that.
I'm still on the ropes here.
Yeah, I got you on the
you need
ropes.
three to tie.
All right. I'm gonna go with another one because now honestly, Emily the show is how I'm remembering a lot of these legends.
Yes.
Here, all these players. I'm gonna go with one that I believe I got to talk with this guy here, but that's Andre Dawson.
The Hawk. That's a nice call. MVP
Mm.
award winner, Expos legend, Cubs legend. Shout out to the Expos. I'm wearing their hat because I can't be seen in Braves paraphernalia right now. 8 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall of Fame induction. Mac, back to
Oh my
you.
God.
We're keeping it going, boys.
This is
Man.
the Indiana Penn or Illinois Penn State college football game, or the A&M LSU game. Pick your
Yeah,
poison.
wow. Man, I thought, oh God, now I have to do some more
Mental
thinking.
gymnastics.
Yeah, because again, I'm trying to remember guys who like we've gotten. Okay, I hope this guy got all three. Dave Winfield.
The man who was drafted in, I think, every draft known to man.
Yep.
Also, George Steinbrenner's favorite player. Just kidding.
Mr.
Steinbrenner
May.
hated this guy.
Yep.
My favorite thing about MLB history is learning about like how much some of the owners hated these players.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Winfield, 7 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall of Fame induction.
Thank
Oh,
God.
Alex.
you're keeping me on the ropes, my friend. All right. You know what? Get one of here first baseman and that'll be the show to you. Switch hitting legend here. I believe he's a switch hitter. I'm probably wrong on that, but Eddie Murray.
Eddie Murray. Shout out. He was once a fake trivia answer in one of our shows. I screwed that up because I said his name in the trivia prompt.
Oh, I remember that. That was funny.
Yeah. Orioles legend, Dodgers legend.
Mets legend.
Once compared to Johnny Unitas by the Baltimore Sun.
Oh, wow.
3 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers for number 33 and a Hall of Fame induction. Mac,
oh
back
boy,
to you.
we're back.
We're gonna go one more round, then I'm gonna institute a specific rule. So one more round.
That's
All
fair.
right. Okay, that's fine. Man. Okay. I'm not sure if this dude would have all three, but I feel like he'd have two of them. Give me Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs, the Chicken Man, Mr. 3010, Rays legend. Rest in peace, Wade Boggs, by the way.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Shout out to the 1996 Yankees. I do want to clarify. Wade Boggs
Devil
is
Rays
not dead.
legend.
He's
Yeah.
just dead to Red Sox fans.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
8 Silver Sluggers, 2 Gold Gloves, and
Wow.
Oh,
one
let's
Hall
go.
of Fame
I wasn't sure if
induction.
he won a Gold Glove.
That is 30 for 30 for Mac. Alex.
All right, so I think that's the end of the round because I went first, right? So
Alex, I'll give you one chance to tie here.
okay, Gary Carter.
Gary Carter, the kid, Mets legend, Expos legend. Shout out the Expos again.
Giants legend.
Rest in peace, Gary Carter. Real rest in peace this time.
Real rest. Okay, yeah, we probably shouldn't make jokes about that anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah, I remember I was at a academic bowl meet when I was in elementary school and Gary Carter passed.
Oh,
So
sad.
yeah. That was like right when I got my phone, someone's like, Gary Carter died. It's like, no, that's horrible.
Then you put away your phone forever.
3 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hall of Fame induction.
Oh
All right.
God.
All right. Here we go. Winner take all right here. Name a pitcher that fits the criteria.
Oh, buzz in.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I'm going to go with Greg Maddux.
The Professor.
I don't know why, but he comes up to mind. He comes up to mind, but I'm not. Okay. No. Yep.
I don't know if Maddox would have won a Silver Slugger.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly my thought process on it. Right, is that MLB The Show has a card of him with a bat, like actually hitting.
Is that the Chicks Dig the Long Ball commercial?
No, it is. No, it's in bunting.
Exist.
No, it's in bunting.
Okay, 18 Gold Gloves, 1 Hall of Fame induction, no Silver Sluggers. Mac, this is for the win. Can you name a pitcher with all 3?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember when the Silver Slugger became a thing. And this would also probably have to be a National League pitcher, I'm assuming. Yeah, so, oh my God. Yeah. Because the best hitting pitchers I know of are definitely not Hall of Famers. They definitely aren't Gold Glovers, I'll tell you that much.
And one that will be in the Hall of Fame, potentially will be in the Hall of Fame at some point in his career, in Zach Greinke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, but it's not Zach Greinke because he's not.
And obviously, yeah, he's on the Hall of Fame. I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Wow, this has me completely stumped.
Yeah, same.
I'm not going to lie here, because I'm also trying to remember who is in the Hall of Fame.
That is a pretty solid one.
Yeah, that's the issue. They'd have to be a good fielding pitcher too. Oh man, who has gotten in the Hall of Fame in recent memory too? Wow, I'm befuddled.
You're Smeckledorfed.
Yeah, seriously. I have like zero clue who this could be. If I'm being completely honest.
It feels weird to call this a draw, but like I can't think of too many. Like I have one more name in mind, but I don't think it's right.
While you're waiting, Justin Herbert is in fact a fraud. Lamar clears, Tua clears.
I have no idea, so I'm just going to guess Tom Glavine.
Glavine was the one I thought of. He won a couple Silver Sluggers, did not win a Gold Glove.
Wow.
So we're gonna end in a tie here.
Man.
Officially.
So,
I have one more name. I'm just curious about. I'm okay to end in a tie with this one, but the other name I came up with was Halladay.
Doc did not win a Silver Slugger.
Okay. Wait, who
has?
Is there anyone?
Just figure this out. There is not a correct answer here.
Oh my God, Splash! Bruh!
I've been lied to. All right.
Okay, that's my.
Oh my God!
You know what?
You know what? You came with it on the fly. I can't be too mad.
Because it's funny because Glavine and Smoltz won Silver Sluggers. Hampton won both, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. And Maddox won 18 Gold Gloves, but never won a Silver Slugger.
Ugh. I mean, yeah, like Alex said, Zach Greinke will probably. I think Zach Greinke will be in the Hall of Fame, and he's won both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can think of other guys who like,
Madison Bumgarner. No,
yeah,
I don't think he's won
I
Gold
don't think
Glove.
he's gonna make it to the
Max
Hall of
Max
Fame.
Fried. I'm pretty sure has both,
Yeah, he's
right?
won both.
I mean, I know
The
Dwight Gooden at least won a Silver Slugger. Micah Owings, I'm pretty sure did. Carlos Zambrano,
who Mike
Yovani
Gallardo.
Gallardo. Yeah,
So
Gallardo.
Also,
congratulations.
Otani
You
will.
you both
Will
got to kiss
Gallardo.
your sister, so congratulations.
That was just it was a struggle. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
That
that
last
one.
question. That
Yeah,
being
that one
said,
felt
though,
good.
I thought that was a great trivia
Because it was a
segment.
fake
So,
question. Oh, my apologies.
all right. Well,
That's embarrassing.
anyways,
Good
thank you,
job,
Splash, for
boys.
that. But
Thank you.
let's end today's show with how we end every show with the moment to ourselves, 60 seconds, give or take a few, to talk about whatever is on your mind, sports or not sports. So Slash looks like he wants to go first. So your 60 seconds start right now.
Right. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Phillies competed in the first year the World Series was a thing in 1903. Let that sink in. In the history of the Philadelphia Phillies, they have spent exactly 0 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds with more World Series rings than the New York Mets. Let that sink in. The Mets were delayed by 60 years, about 60 years in terms of coming to Major League Baseball. They won their World Series first in 1969. Then the Phillies tied in 1980. Then the Mets took the lead again in 1986. The Phillies tied in 2008. And at least for a couple of weeks, the Mets have never had fewer World Series rings than the Philadelphia Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies have fewer World Series rings than a team that went 88 years without winning a title, the Chicago White Sox, and the Chicago Cubs, who went 108 years without winning a World Series. Both of them have 3. The Philadelphia A's, who haven't been in Philadelphia since 1954, have more championships for the city of Philadelphia than the Philadelphia Phillies do. It took the Phillies 77 years to win a World Series. Most of that time was spent in a 16-team league. They made 2 World Series before 1980. In 1915, they lost Boston. 1950, they lost to the Yankees. The Phillies are frauds. Don't let this year change that. Don't let a 3rd World Series ring change that. They have 3 World Series rings in 121 years on 119 World Series opportunities. They are frauds. They stink. Go Braves.
So I take it you're rooting for the Phillies in this series right now.
Financially, yes. Otherwise, no. Go Diamondbacks. Also, the Marlins. Since 1980, there's been more time the Marlins, or as much time the Marlins have spent with more. I think the stat is the Marlins have spent more time tied in World Series rings than trailing in World Series rings since 1980. And the Marlins didn't exist until 1993. So they had 13 years that you just throw away because there's no such thing as the Marlins. So the Phillies take the 13-year lead. Then the Marlins win in year 4 or year 5. So it's like 17-0. Then the Marlins, have it tied for that stretch. Then they take the lead. Now it's been tied for the last 15 years. So good job, Philadelphia. You are, in fact, frauds.
Yeah, it's. I think the crazy stat to me is also that the Marlins have never won the division, but they've won 2 World Series titles.
Did you like my fact, Mac? That was the one I was hyping up.
That was also an amazing fact, by the way. Yes, the Phillies,
Fun
I believe,
times.
have more losses than any other professional sports franchise.
Yes,
respectfully, I think that they don't get ridiculed enough for that. I'll say that much.
I agree. They won in the 50s. They tried to change their name to the Phils because Phillies had such a connotation for losing.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. All right, Alex, do you want to go next?
Sure, why not?
All right, ready? Your time starts in 3, 2, 1.
So a lot of you guys probably know right now, I am not the biggest fan of the Immaculate Grid, mostly because I am just outright bad at it. But I will say overall that it's a fun concept. I really like it. It's a nice little brain exercise here, but I have found one that works for me. And no, it's not all Seattle Mariner, although to be fair, I will make that one day and I will relish in it. But I have found something called Pokedoku, which is the Immaculate Grid for Pokemon fans. And it is a lot of fun. It's the exact same concept, 3x3 grid. There's even a unique rarity score for it too. But the one difference with it is that if you miss one, you just lose. Like that's the end of your grid right there. So it's surprisingly interesting trying to see what kind of like deep cuts that you can go with it. The fact that we have over 1,000 Pokemon now means that there's a lot of different answers. And with some of these, there really are only 1 or 2 answers Whereas in the Immaculate Grid, there's still a lot of times a good number of answers for any one square. So if you're a Pokemon fan and you like baseball, you like the Immaculate Grid or the football Immaculate Grid, give us a try. It's surprisingly fun.
Yeah, I mean that sounds incredibly fun. I will say this, by the way, and I cannot believe this happened, but my oldest brother today got a 0 on the Immaculate Grid, which I didn't know was possible. Um,
Wait, is zero rarity?
yeah, he got a 0
Big
rarity
props.
No
score.
way.
Big props.
I have
I think
no
my
clue
lowest
how he
ever is a
did that.
2.
That's
I got a
incredible.
3 today. I thought
I
I
got
did well getting a
oh.
3, and he got a 0 every time. See, I'll
We
say
need to
this.
invite your brother on the show there, Mac.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so here's
please.
the thing is that like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm the youngest. Like I don't know, I'm the youngest of 5 kids, but like it feels like everything has to be a competition in some way. And I feel like there are days where I finally have a chance to be better than him, and then he, gets a 0 or something. Which this is the only time that getting a 0 is good. By the way, you trust me,
I
getting
guess
a
so,
0,
yeah.
you don't want to get a 0 on an exam. I'm just saying that if you're any students are listening to us. So, anyways, I'm going to get started in 3, 2, 1. So, I just want to talk a little bit more about my weekend out in Texas, because I had never been to Austin, like I said before, and I realized that I mean it's actually not too different from New York in some ways. Places stay open late. There's a lot of things to do, but really, the thing that stood out to me the most is the food. I didn't have a single bad bite of food in Texas. Uh, you know, the barbecue was fantastic. We went to Terry Black's on the first day. Really good beef rib, which I had never had beef rib before. Super tender. Their pork ribs are really good. So was their brisket. And then we had really good barbecue at Leroy Lewis the other day, which is a food truck with a super long wait, but it's all 100% worth it. It's also next to a coffee shop, which is really good. And it also had really good Mexican food. Even like the local like chain restaurants, it's really good. And we had really good biscuit and gravy too. So if you're ever in Austin, I'll just say you will not have a single bad bite of food. And I actually recommend it. If you like live music too, they have great live music. And also, we went to a few different bars, and there was a water cooler in every single one of them, which I think is great and very thoughtful. So, if you have a chance, there's one city out there that I recommend you look at. It's Austin. All right, so that was our moment to ourselves. Thank you all for listening to today's show. That will do it for us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to follow the main account at LAR_baseball. Follow Splash at Mr. Splashman19. Follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. And follow myself at Matthias_A_K. But for everyone at Losses Above Replacement, thank you all for listening. Hope you all have a great rest of your day or evening or whatever. And I hope to see you all real soon. Thank you.